We are back with another episode of the Nintendo Pipeline podcast this week, and we are fulfilling our promise to do a part 2 of our GameCube episode since it is the GameCube's release anniversary. With me today, I have...
One Up Muffin, but you can call me Jared.
And Mina, you can call me Mina.
As always, I am CMM, but you can call me Clay, and today we have a special guest. Could you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Hawk in the Discord, but you can call me John.
Sweet. All right. Well, so anyone who saw our first episode last time, it was One Up, myself, and Noise. So this time we have John and Mina with us to pick some of their favorite GameCube games. We're just going to kind of have a fun time talking about fun GameCube stuff today in honor of the GameCube's anniversary. It released in the US, I want to say, next week. Well, once this recording goes live, it'll have been a couple of days.
We're recording this on another birthday, on the Xbox birthday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we are recording this on Xbox birthday.
I've never heard of this. This is the Nintendo Pipeline podcast.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Yeah, so actually it is. So as of this recording, the US launch date for the GameCube is 3 days from now. It was November 18th. Launched at $199. We talked a little bit about bongos and all sorts of fun stuff last time, but I guess we'll start with we all have some picks again for games we want to talk about. So
yeah, we give 2 picks to the new people that weren't in the last episode, and me and Clay will have 1 pick.
Yeah, just to keep things going. So I guess we can start with Hawk here. What's your first pick?
Yeah, sure. So let's start out with so I just looked back at it. So I think GameCube is the only console that has 3 canon Zelda games, and I want to talk about the interesting one, which is Four Swords Adventures.
Yes.
Which the interesting part about it is not only is it multiplayer, but it has the Game Boy adapter, which was super hard to set up and crashed half the time, but was a lot of fun. Did anyone else
going? To get this thing going is just you need so much, right? You need 4 individual Game Boy Advances, 4 individual link cables or whatever they were called, right?
You need them all to be charged or have full battery, which is the hard part.
It's so much. Oh my goodness. So I've never played this. It's been my white whale. It's the one Zelda game I haven't played.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
There is a single player. You can play it single player on just the GameCube controller.
But I want the proper experience. I want the I want the full 4-player experience.
Are you able to play it multiplayer without having Game Boys?
No, it's required.
You need it. Yeah.
Yeah, had a feeling.
I was able to play it 2-player once. Did you get to play it multiplayer, John?
Yeah, so my brother is just a little bit older than me, so we both had Game Boys, and we had 2 cables, so we were able to play a bunch. And then my cousin also had a cable and a Game Boy, so he would come in and play. So we did get to play 3,
nice.
Which is so what's fun is regardless of how many people playing, there's 4 links on screen. So the extra links get just randomly scattered between it. If there's 2, then you each get 2. But if there's 3 of you, there's just an extra link, and you can steal the link and add it to your team by just picking him up. So it becomes less of a co-op game and more of just messing with each other the entire time.
That's fun.
That's so good.
And that kind of is the whole thing about this game that is a lot of fun with co-op is a lot of the items you get are just very wacky. You get normal bombs. So one thing that's different about this, which is same as Four Swords for Game Boy, is you only hold 1 item at a time, and you can change it out at pedestals that you pick up a different item from what you had. So with that, each of the 4 characters can have different items, which leads to a lot of interesting stuff and item gating through who has what. But you can then upgrade these with in certain levels with the Great Fairy, and they're very wacky. Like the bombs upgrade into these giant bombs that take up like a quarter of the screen. So it's just everything's very wacky. It's a lot of just messing around with each other, and you're also competing on who's picking up the most force gems, which are these triangle rupees. So it's co-op, but it's also you're just as much just messing with everyone else on the screen.
Which is the best kind of co-op game,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
When you can mess with your friends. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to like be a productive member of the team. I'm here to make everyone else's lives miserable.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's my purpose. And this game is level based as well, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that this is one of the only level-based Zelda games.
Yeah, there's like 9 sets of 3 levels or so, and it's like the first one's an overworld, second one's either another overworld or a small dungeon, and then the third one's like proper dungeon with a boss at the end.
And this game actually, something I actually really liked about this game visually is that, so this is a top-down style sprite-based game, but it has some flourishes from Wind Waker, like the explosions and stuff.
Exactly. So it's the sprites and all are very A Link to the Past inspired, very close to that, but all of the animations and all of the like effects are very Wind Waker.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice mix.
This game has a battle mode too, doesn't it?
Yes. So it's so the whole reason why you have these Game Boy Advances is whenever on the main screen is one room, and then there could be like a doorway in that room, and if you go in that, you go onto the Game Boy screen, and it'll have like your characters in this room. So that could be going into a house or going into a cave or something like that. So the multiplayer battle mode is like there's a lot of hidden areas, and you're kind of just trying to figure out where everyone is and attack each other
So cool.
by hiding in these different areas. Because if you're out on the screen, everyone knows where you are. But if you're hidden in the cave, you can then like drop bombs on the overall screen and stuff like that.
It's kind of, this is probably a stupid comparison, but like when I think of that game's battle mode, I kind of think of Bomberman a little bit. Like it's not really.
I went to Spelunky. Like I was thinking of the Spelunky like arena mode.
Yeah.
My go-to for battle mode anything is generally Bomberman.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's like Bomberman with Link. You sure?
And there's a lot of bombs. There's a lot of bombs.
I don't remember a ton about this game besides the fact that I had a lot of fun with it with my friend. But I would love to play this game again someday. I just need I have 2 Game Boy Advances. I just gotta grab some more link cables.
Yeah, I also did look it up. You can use a Game Boy Advance player, like the Game Boy player on the GameCube. So you can set up 5 GameCubes and 5 TVs and play this.
That's amazing.
Oh my god,
I've seen pictures of that before,
so
and that's amazing.
I have wow, maybe I should keep an extra GameCube around.
Yeah, no kidding.
I like to imagine you have the main game on like this big like widescreen TV or whatever, and then everyone has like CRTs that are
yeah,
with Game Boy players.
And that's like when I looked it up, there was a picture of like 5 CRTs on a dresser or something like that set up, and it was like that is
hell yeah,
that's
exactly
so
what I pictured.
That's dedication,
I feel like this has to have happened at some point in person at GDQ. I can't recall specifically, but like you have all kinds of weird setups that show up there. We had like, people with CDIs. There's one with like the Shrek TV I've seen before. I feel like this is like one of those that you'd see at like at an in-person event.
Yeah, that's gotta have been a run.
And the other thing too, I actually ended up getting this game very late. Like I think it was decently into the Wii's life cycle because GameStop was getting rid of a bunch of GameCube games for cheap, and I grabbed this one. I think it was like $12 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I only played it in single player. I remember thinking it was really funny that like when you go into a cave on the TV, it pops up a virtual Game Boy Advance screen.
It even has like the Game Boy Advance logo below it.
Yeah, it's so unnecessary for single player, but it's really funny.
Yeah, it's definitely a game of the time that they tried to replicate it with like Triforce Heroes, but it just didn't get the whole like competitive co-op thing right, that it just didn't hit.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I played through Triforce Heroes, not to go on too much of a tangent, and I enjoyed it, but it's definitely a very different game than Four Swords Adventures.
Yeah, I'd love to see them like try this again someday, but I don't know if they would.
Yeah, or
yeah,
even just like port this to like a Switch or something.
Like they did the other one for 3DS, the Game Boy one.
Yeah, and
which I've not played.
I have. I do not like that game very
It's not
much.
good.
It's very not good.
Compared, Adventures is a much better game because it's.
I believe that.
It's
That
also
makes
like
sense.
long. Like some of these levels get long. Like I looked it up. It was like 16 hours to beat the whole game,
Wow.
which
Yeah,
is pretty substantial.
game is fairly lengthy. It felt beefy. So Mina, what is your first pick?
So my first pick is actually a classic. I can't believe you guys didn't pick it last time. Pikmin came out in the launch year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
it was day one, I
Pikmin-
think.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember how close it was to doing, but it was pretty close. If it wasn't launched, it was pretty close. It was by year's end, and it launched in November. So
Yeah, I don't
close.
think it was launched for US at least.
We can fact check that, but
yeah, I'm gonna look it up just because I'm curious.
This is Shigeru Miyamoto's baby. You know, Miyamoto loves Pikmin. He loves talking about this game, and I get it. Pikmin is such a weird game, right? Inherently, I think Pikmin is maybe one of the harder Nintendo franchises to sell people on because
Yep.
the concept is just so you're controlling these 100 different little weird plant creatures, right?
Yeah.
And I think the time limit in particular stresses a lot of people out.
It's hard.
Right?
Yeah, it stresses me out. Like I enjoy the game, but it's stressful.
Yeah, but so with that, it's like it's this thing of, first of all, the concept is just inherently weird, and then second of all, time limits just scare people. But I find Pikmin 1 to be such a special little game. I actually liked it more than 2, because I do think I feel like the time limit, the rush to get back home, I feel like is a real core part of the Pikmin experience.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, so I freaking love it. And honestly, like, that 30 days is more than enough. It seems daunting, but they gave more than enough time to actually be able to beat the game,
Yeah.
And I should say, like, that's not, but the 30 days is not the only time limit, right? Every day, you have a set amount of time to go do your thing, right? By nighttime, you gotta get home, because otherwise, you're gonna get eaten by bulborbs if you stay too long,
The worst thing is when you're headed back to your onions to put the Pikmin back, and it's almost the end of the day, and you're just slightly too late, and all of them get devoured.
They're dead.
Yeah.
You gotta bring them to safety.
It's so depressing when they all die, because that sets you back like a day.
Oh yeah, like it is such a big setback, and it's fun because like the Pikmin are a finite resource, right?
Yep.
And so when more than a few die at a time, you feel bad, because you're like, oh god, like this is I'm screwed, and it's this sense of like you really feel. I think all that combined really adds to this feeling of like, oh, you really do feel like you're stranded in this world, this crazy unknown world. I also like Pikmin's world because the creatures are they're great designs, right?
They're so good. The enemy design is so funny.
Oh, the enemy design is hilarious, right?
But they're like terrifying, even though they're silly looking.
Yeah. It's the simultaneous thing of like, if you look at them like in concept art, they look so goofy, right? But then in game, like you really feel like you're like, oh god, you're frightened by them. And I also love the world of Pikmin because it is this like, it's like it's Earth, right? But it's abandoned, and Olimar is from somewhere else where the people are very tiny, right?
Yeah.
And so you're picking up all these fun little things, branded things even, which I think is hilarious, right?
Yeah.
Like a Duracell battery, I think, right? Is one of the things.
Yeah.
And so you pick up these things, and so for us, we know what a battery looks like, right? But because it makes you realize how freaking tiny Olimar is, a battery is this huge thing, right?
I think right now, the thought was like, oh, Chibi Robo and Pikmin are in the same universe.
Yeah.
Another GameCube game.
Yeah.
I always liked the sound design of Pikmin, actually. All their silly little noises when it sounds like when you pluck them, and when you move them around with the C-stick, and it's like that little marching song. It's like
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
It's very very satisfying.
I think Pikmin 1 has a purity to it that the later games don't have. That like you said, the 30-day limit, you have to collect like a set number of parts to get to the next section. It just has a very nice rigid structure that doesn't feel messy.
Yes. Very much agree with that,
It feels like
you have a clear goal, right?
Yeah.
You have a clear goal and you know what you're working towards.
Yeah. For the whole game. Like you know what the goal is, which I like a lot.
I think last time when we were deciding like what games to pick and stuff, I think the joke was none of us are Pikmin people. We're not talking about Pikmin.
I only played Pikmin 1. And I haven't even finised it.
I love Pikmin. So I've played all 3 games. I guess I may be the biggest Pikmin fan here.
Yeah, I don't know, unless Hawk is like...
it's a blind spot for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. But like again, I don't blame you, right? Like with the way I started was like, yeah, this is just inherently one of the harder Nintendo games to get into, Yeah, it is. I think if you open your heart to Pikmin, I think if you actually try it out, you'll realize it's not nearly as daunting as it seems.
So my history with Pikmin, and just quickly too, because I was curious, the game did launch on December 2nd, so it wasn't quite launch day. Now, I could be incorrect here, but I believe that is also the same day that Super Smash Bros. Came out.
Wow.
Yep.
So there is that. But
man, so just an aside, but the GameCube had such a strong launch window then, right?
It did, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Smash Bros. Came out the next day.
December 3rd, right? Yeah.
Such a difference.
So for me, my GameCube life started like basically Christmas of 2001. So like the launch window stuff sort of happened all at once for me, like Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin, Melee, and unfortunately Sonic Adventure 2, which I won't go into. Pikmin was difficult for me. I didn't totally get it. I struggled with it for a while. Hasn't ever really been a series that I'm super into. Until recently, I would just try to piss people off and be like, my favorite Pikmin game is the demo of Hey Pikmin.
Oh no.
But I'm actually really digging Pikmin Bloom, so maybe there's hope for me.
Yeah, true. This, it's timely to talk about Pikmin.
Yeah,
Pikmin Bloom
maybe we'll do an episode of that someday.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other Pikmin thoughts? Yeah.
I think we're gonna make things a little different today, and we're actually gonna go back to Hawk for their second pick. We'll save One Up and me for the end.
All right, sounds good. Well, my pick is the best Sakurai game on GameCube that's not Melee, and that is Kirby Air Ride.
Yes.
John, can I interrupt you for a second?
Go for it.
I don't even need the except for Melee qualifier, okay? This is the best Masahiro Sakurai game of this generation.
Yeah, I agree with you, mostly because I don't like Melee, but that's a different story. But yeah, Kirby Air Ride is one of those games that I probably put in more time than any other GameCube game for the just the city trial mode. So those who haven't played the game, there's the like air ride mode, which is like the intended main mode, I guess, and it's like a very simple kind of kart racer, but it's very simplistic. Everything's one button control. So A does both your brake and your charge, as well as everything from like your copy ability, so you can inhale stuff around that's riding around you and use that for attacking. Everything's tied to that one button, so it's very simplistic. And the map races are okay, but they're not that good, and Mario Kart's a much better kart racer. But then there's the city trial mode. So there's another mode that's like a kind of like a slot 2D top-down slot car race is like kind of what it is.
Top ride.
Yeah, no one plays it. And
hey, I played it.
It has its following, which is it's good, but compared to City Trial, which is the main mode that everyone loves, which is
for good reason. Yeah,
so you have 4 players dropped into a map for 5 minutes, and anyone who's played Smash Run on Smash 3DS, it's you go around collecting level ups and different abilities, as well as they have a bunch of different random other carts around. They're called stars that you can switch into. And then once the time limit's up, you then go into a stadium mode, which could be one of the races from the main mode. So there's like a destruction derby where you just fight it out with the other members, versus DDD, where you have to fight him in a super tight time limit that takes forever to try and get done. I think I only ever did it once. It was so hard.
Yeah, it is.
And then, or there's stuff like a target. You had to hit different scores on a target board, or jump the highest, jump the farthest. So a lot of different kind of wacky stadium stuff like that. And yeah, I spent like hours just going through City Trial, either on my own or with friends. And that's also where Dragoon from Smash comes in, where you get the 3 parts. There were these red boxes around the world that usually had like power-ups like the flame ability, the different copy abilities, but they also could sometimes drop parts to the legendary carts that were Dragoon and Hydra. So that was always like the rush to find the 3 parts, and if someone else got it, you had to go attack them to try and get it off them. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's Kirby Air Ride I like quite a lot, and I mean in City Trial in particular is probably the most memorable part of it. I don't know if you've ever seen much in the way of Kirby Air Ride speedrunning, but the category, like the category, well, it's not the category, but as far as I'm concerned, it's the only category, is there is a run where you have to get 5 hot dogs in City Trial, and obviously it's completely random if hot dogs show up or not. So
that's so silly.
Yeah, but it's that kind of fun mode. Like the city itself is very interesting and has a lot of unique, different places of interest in it, and like fun events that happen. Like Dynablade shows up, I think, for one of them.
It feels like a theme park.
Yeah, it's very abstract.
You're in a theme park with your friends. It doesn't feel like a place, because like there's like, it's like, this is the fire area, and this is like this is like the rail corner, this is the beach.
This is where you go under the forest to find the secret item where one of the Dragoon pieces always spawns.
Yeah, and there's like that like multi-tiered area that kind of looks like a very poorly thought out parking garage.
Yeah.
And this is actually the mode where if you get enough damage to your air ride machine, you are on foot and you have to find another one.
On foot. Yeah.
It's the closest game Nintendo has made to Grand Theft Auto.
And when you're walking around, people can run into you and get some of your items off you.
Yeah. It's fun. I always liked that at the end, the stadium event that you're thrown into is random because, you get all those different power-ups that level you up. So some people end up becoming extremely fast. Some people become extremely they can hang in the air for a long time. Others become powerful and destroy the crap out of everything. And you don't know which one you're going to get. So you kind of have to hope that you get an event that works with whatever you collected.
Yeah, because
it's not just the items. Exactly, yeah, it's the cars too. Because some of them, you can't turn unless you stop to charge for the swerve star. The noodle cart doesn't charge at all. It just, you have to keep moving.
Yeah, the decision to make it a single button is definitely still a controversial one. And I think it works. But I think, certain stuff is a little rough with it, but I think it's a really interesting concept.
I think
personally,
I think the different machines being so unique helps a lot.
Yeah.
That if they were at all like too similar, it would have just broken down real fast.
Yeah, and I think it helps too that like the abilities that you get are handled in different ways. Like, for example, the sword ability, I believe, automatically just strikes anyone that's within range. But you'll have something like the plasma ability where you still have to like move the stick a bunch to build up a charge.
Yeah, especially for like those like combat based like destruction derby and stuff where you're trying to either attack enemies, which is the worst one, or when you're trying to attack people, it's not too bad.
I actually think this game's remix of D2D's theme is extremely good.
The music in that game is just overall quite good.
Yeah. And, something else that's really cool is the whole checkbox system. For anyone who's not aware, each mode is kind of more like 3 games together. So there's normal air ride, there's the top ride, and there's the city trial we've been talking about. But each of them have 120 checkboxes, and they're basically challenges. And when you complete a challenge, the checkboxes around it become like it reveals what the challenge is.
Oh, it's like the trophy mode in or the whatever the challenge board.
Yeah, challenges in Brawl.
I forgot about those. I need to check out
this.
I need to check out that game again.
And you even get like in Smash Bros. You get like the golden hammer to beat challenges that you don't want to deal with. You get the purple squares.
It's funny because like a lot of the stuff that Sakurai carried over into like a lot of things people associate with like say Smash Bros. Brawl came from this game.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of Sakurai-isms started really with I think Kirby Air Ride. Like the menu design and like the things you're mentioning, like just so many things like just kind of became staples of Sakurai games, which I found fun. I find fun, because Kirby Air Ride, Smash Brothers, and Kid Icarus Uprising have almost nothing to do with each other, right?
Yeah, but they have some.
But yet they have so many like similarities on the outside of like their gameplay.
Yeah, like the DNA throughout the games, you can definitely see.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Meteos as well even has.
Yeah, even Meteos. Yeah,
Meteos has the menus.
What's fun about the checkboxes to me is that not only are they, some of them are just, challenges and you get the green spot and that's cool. But some of them are red, and when you get red stuff, red means you've unlocked something. So, there's so many different air ride machines and alternate music tracks and, all kinds
of color Kirbys.
Yeah, different colors for Kirby and like all this like miscellaneous weird stuff, and it's just kind of fun to find like whatever is next.
It's like deceptively a lot of content in that little package.
And if I remember correctly, just to briefly speak on Top Ride, because I'm a huge fan of Top Ride. I like games like RC Pro-Am and stuff. That mode has its own separate tracks as well. They're all unique.
Yep.
Yeah,
you can even unlock items, like battle items that show up in that mode through the checkboxes. There's a couple. I think the chicks or whatever is one of them. But yeah, Kirby Air. Does Kirby Air Ride have a LAN mode? I think it does.
Yes. Yeah, you can connect a couple of GameCubes together.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think all of the modes are fun. Like, even though everyone talks about City Trial, even the racing mode is like not bad. It's
like it's not Mario Kart, but it's still a fun time.
The courses are with the exception of the Figure 8 one. All the courses are pretty good.
Yeah, and they look good too. Like they're visually distinct.
Yeah, and like it's very nice having alternate music tracks for them. Just saying. I know the Meta Knight Halberd theme is an alternate track for one of the courses, which I think is actually in the Halberd, if I remember right. I forget. But they're all unique. It's super cool. Game is awesome.
Yeah, there's a reason people keep calling for Kirby Air Ride 2, even this many, how many years later.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that is Hal's next game. Mark it down right here.
I can see it. I mean, we got Pokemon Snap, Joe. I think anything is possible.
Anything is possible, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So, Mina, what is your other pick?
So my other pick, it's a pair of games. I'm mostly going to be talking about one, but Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. These games are weird.
Yes.
So they were billed as like the first proper console Pokemon RPGs, right? So Pokemon has had a long history on handhelds, right?
Yeah.
But before this, the only games that were on console, on N64 and on GameCube, were, games like Stadium, so they were battle simulators, minigame stuff,
Pokemon
spin-offs.
Puzzle League.
Pokemon Puzzle League. It was all spin-offs. And mind you, these are spin-offs as well, but this was the first games to, like, kind of follow the formula of the main Pokemon games, right? On console. However, big caveats. So, there's no wild Pokemon. It's only trainer battles, and so you may ask, how the heck do you get Pokemon if there's no wild Pokemon? Well, there's these things called Shadow Pokemon, which are basically Pokemon that have been turned evil by machines. By the evil team. And so what you can do, what happens is you have a little scouter that shows you, hey, this Pokemon's a shadow Pokemon, and you steal the Pokemon from the other trainer. You take their Pokemon.
It's like a Pokemon sin.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So you steal Pokemon from other Pokemon, and then you purify them. You spend time with them, and then they're back to normal. Now, the funny thing, especially, so Pokemon Colosseum is even more restrictive with this, and this is hilarious, in that your shadow Pokemon, after you catch them, they do not level up. They stay at the level they are until you purify them. And also, until you purify them, they only have one move, and that move is a move that has a recoil as well, so it hurts the Pokemon.
It's basically Struggle.
Yeah, it's basically Struggle, a stronger version of Struggle. And so your options to purify these Pokemon are either use them, so you have to use these Pokemon that don't level up, that only have one shitty move, or you just walk around in circles endlessly until you hit the magic step counter.
That's how you purify them, is by walking.
That's how you can, because you're spending time with them, basically, and that's how you and then through the power of friendship, you purify them, essentially.
All right, that means that I want Shadow Pokemon in Pokemon Go.
I think they were teasing some, so I don't know if they ever ended up doing it, but I think the Shadow Pokemon ended up in some form showing up in Pokemon Go, funnily enough.
That's funny.
But yeah, this game is wild. And so, because of these two big caveats, it is not like a normal Pokemon game, right? It is an RPG, and it has turn battles, but this is a very different experience from the console games. I mean, inherently, I think just having a set roster of Pokemon that you can only catch at certain points, it's more akin to getting like a party member at some point in the story in a normal RPG, you know? Whereas the considered Pokemon has always been like, you can mix and match and make your own teams basically however you like. Obviously, you find certain Pokemon in certain places, but not to the extent of literally this one encounter is where you'll find this one Pokemon and never again. You know?
Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting that you compare it to like getting a party member in a traditional RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought of it that way. I actually, these are kind of a blind spot for me because one, I'm not super into Pokemon outside of spin-offs, but two, I even in terms of Pokemon games, like I at least like had Pokemon Stadium and like had some of the like mainline Pokemon games on Game Boy, but we never had Pokemon Colosseum, which when you hear that name, I know it does have like Pokemon Stadium like features.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to call back to Pokemon Stadium, despite being nothing like Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah, like it just sounds like what it sounds like when you look at the title. It's Pokemon Stadium 3. Which...
That's what I knew it. Like, I assumed it was for the longest time.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. That's what it sounds like, right? It sounds like in that vein, you know, not too similar to like going from Super Mario Land to Super Mario World or something, you know?
Yeah.
It sounds like that kind of evolution, but no, it's completely different. Now, mind you, there is a battle sim mode, right? Yeah. And there's a mode where you can hook up your GBA, just like Pokemon Stadium. Now, it doesn't have mini games, sadly.
Yeah, that's sad. Crime.
But there is a battle simulator component to it. Not one that was very emphasized, though, mind you. But yeah. So that is there. I think also the weird thing about these games, the tone is so not Pokemon. It's so edgy. You know, it is so like just the main. If you look at the main character design, you could tell this was made in the early 2000s.
I just have that game's like US box art like in my mind right now with that doofy, edgy ass character that you play.
Yeah, it's these games are so edgy. It's so weird. It just nothing about them makes sense. But I have a weird soft spot for these games because I played them as a kid, you know?
I think there's so many games on GameCube that just went full on edge. Like
on edge,
Shadow, of course. Shadow the Hedgehog is the infamous one of just, he curses now, he's edgy.
He's got guns, and but like, you know, that was also kind of where we were at, like, in pop culture, right? In the 2000s.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of, like, early 2000s edge and cheese in a lot of different media, and like it's very repulsive, but
I will say those aesthetics have aged quite poorly.
Yeah, like milk.
Yeah. But it's fun to look back on. You know, it is fun to look at these games and be like, whoa, what were they? And it's funny because the sequel, Pokemon XD,
it's still a funny name all these years later.
Pokemon, it's a really funny name. So Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, on the cover, so the Shadow Pokemon, they just look like Pokemon, but they have this weird, like, shadowy aura behind them, right?
They have a haze.
They have a haze. That's literally what it is. Shadow Lugia is the only one where they were allowed to change the design of the Pokemon.
Oh.
Yeah. And quite frankly, if you know anything about how restrictive the Pokemon Company is on, like, changing the designs of Pokemon, you would not believe that they let fucking Shadow Lugia happen.
Does it kind of look almost like what modern Pokemon games have, where there's different forms?
Kind of, but like it's very clearly a different thing because like it's so the color palette is inverted, so it's edgy, right? It's it's a dark purple. He's got red eyes now. It is like this is, you know, it's Lugia with edge, you know.
Yeah. That's what we needed.
You would not believe that Pokemon Company would let that happen, especially in a spin-off, for God's sake, you know?
Yeah.
It's wild, but funnily enough, do you know who the designer of Shadow Lugia is?
Oh, God.
James Turner, who ended up becoming one of the main designers in Pokemon.
That's so funny. See, so I'm not a huge Pokemon person, so when you say James Turner, I think of all his cute Kirby drawings on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. He makes very cute Kirby drawings. But no, that guy, James Turner, I believe he was the lead art director even for Sword and Shield. A brand new generation of Pokemon games.
Is he the reason why like Mega Evolutions exist?
I don't know about that. Though he is responsible for the infamous ice cream Pokemon.
Yes.
Vanilla Ice or whatever.
Yeah.
So does XD also have a like Pokemon Stadium style mode?
I think it does, but I don't remember. Because me and my sister, we played a lot of the battle mode in Colosseum. I don't remember doing that in XD. It probably was there, but I sincerely don't remember.
I mean, probably at that point it was just so downplayed.
Yeah, honestly, because XD was built first and foremost as like this is picking up where the story left off.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was a direct sequel. It was the Breath of the Wild 2. You know.
The thing with XD that I personally, because I haven't played either of these, my sister had XD. I don't even know how far she got in it, but a friend of mine speedruns Pokemon XD, and there's this thing that you have to do at the very beginning of the game. You have to basically get very lucky and get like the optimal Teddiursa at the beginning. And what this results in is just resetting the game over and over again. So you see that blasted intro with the boat
Yeah,
like 10 million times, and that's all I associate that game with is that stupid boat.
that's pretty funny. Speaking of XD, it is funny because we talked about the edgelord character in Pokemon Colosseum, right?
Yeah.
And even though XD goes even harder on the edgelord vibes, the main character is a little doofball. He's a dork. And it's so funny to go from this like adult like guy to this just little goober, it is quite the tonal shift immediately, despite the rest of the game not being a tonal shift.
Did One Up or Hawk, have you ever played these?
No, unfortunately not.
I've not played any of the GameCube Pokemon games.
Even the story is weird in this game. Like, at the end of the game, spoilers, I guess. I don't know why
Wow.
you care.
No,
But-
I do not care.
It's like, it ends with, like, the mayor of a town, like, being charged for, like, corruption and, like... what?
Wild.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting games in the Pokemon franchise.
Well, on that note, to give you guys an idea of what Pokemon means to me, my pick is actually Pokemon Channel.
Incredible.
So if anyone has ever played Hey You Pikachu on N64, it's, the game where you talk to Pikachu, arguably you talk to Pikachu, and he responds and usually doesn't understand what you're saying. This is pretty much the spiritual sequel to it. It's also by Umbrella. And it is a game about watching TV. So you have like the interactivity of Hey You Pikachu, where you like click on things and Pikachu like does stuff, and you can like explore fields and all kinds of, stuff. But the main, like, the central gimmick is that you're testing the Pokemon TV network or whatever. So you have these Pokemon themed channels. So there's like a home shopping network hosted by Squirtle. There's Pokemon News, which I can't even remember who hosts Pokemon News. It might be Psyduck or something like that. And as you go through the game, you get more channels. There's like a sleeping channel where you literally count Mareep. There is a Smoochum channel. I think it's like some kind of game show. It's like a dating game show or something. I forget. And then there's also like 15 channels that are all this Pichu Bros anime cartoon, because they were like super pushing that for this game. Is like, yo, you can see Pichu Bros, in this game, and pretty much it's like each channel is like 5 minutes of this episode, and so not only do you get 5 channels showing this cartoon, you then get like channels like, oh, now you can see the full cartoon, oh, now you can see it in Japanese, oh, now you can hear it with Meowth narrating over it or something. It's a very bizarre game, and I know there are not many people who like it. However, I tend to dig the Pokemon spin-offs, and this one for some reason caught me. Like, it's weird. You do missions on the fields, you talk to other Pokemon, you get Pokemon cards, you can get games for the Pokemon Mini. Like, it's a weird game. I don't know if any of you guys have ever played it.
I hadn't played it. It was one of those that I always saw. I just was completely confused on what it was.
Yeah.
I still don't get what it is.
Yeah,
I do like the Pokemon spin-offs though sometimes.
Yeah, I would say Hey You Pikachu too, but without a microphone. Kind of like it summarizes that game.
Maybe I'll try it sometime.
It has e-reader
just out
support.
of curiosity. Oh, now I'm intrigued.
So the game comes with e-reader cards. Came with 3 e-reader cards. And so there's this feature in the game where I believe it's Smeagol, whatever the Pokemon is that has the paintbrush for a tail.
Yeah.
He has a TV channel that's like an art channel. And at some point in the game, you're able to color different like pictures in. Like there's like different Pokemon themed like black and white pictures that you can color in. And you can scan in e-reader cards that each have a different like coloring book page essentially to color in, and that's what that game's e-reader functionality is. I don't know if they ever planned on putting out more, if they put out more only in Japan, but in the US it came with 3, and that's as far as I know. That's
all
it.
You get.
But yeah, you could still do stuff like in Hey You Pikachu, where you get like different like Pokemon themed items to decorate your house with. You get Pokemon plushies, all through the Home Shopping Network. Delibird actually delivers them to your house, which is cute. But I can't tell you how much time I spent playing that stupid ass game, because it does have a story that reaches a conclusion as well. So, and you can get different TVs too that have like different, like you have like a sepia TV or like a TV that makes the picture upside down or stupid stuff like that.
Very silly.
The game is definitely more expensive than it should be, but if you ever find it like in the bin or at a Goodwill or something, grab it and just kind of take the ride.
Sounds like a weird fever dream.
I do want to try that out.
Yeah, it's a neat one.
Just for like being like an interesting game of like, why did they make this?
Yeah, it's very much of why does this exist, and who thought of the idea of just playing a video game where you're primarily watching TV. It's just, it's very weird. But, so we're running low on time, so it is time to move on to 1UP's last pick.
Yeah, so my pick is, it's very similar to all of these other games. It's light and colorful and fun.
Very happy.
And it's Resident Evil 4. So I know this game came to other platforms, but it was, by golly, it was a GameCube game first, so it fits here.
That's fair.
It was very unlike what was popular on the GameCube at the time, but it made a name for itself. If you don't know, this is, if you've never heard of Resident Evil 4, it's a game where you go around, not scary places, but like dark, haunted type areas, and you shoot evil villagers and cultists, and you blow their heads off. And sometimes parasite aliens come off their heads. So this game is fantastic. It's one of the greatest like survival, like it's not survival horror, but it's like survival horror action, or like action horror. And action horror is where I thrive.
It kind of started that transition for Resident Evil, where it became a bit more actiony for a bit there.
Where Resident Evil became, I know the purists won't like this, but this is where I like God. Resident Evil. I like the more action stuff. So this game is like split into very, very distinctive parts. The village is like, it's like a spooky like village with these like weird, they're not zombies, but they're like infected villagers, and you gotta fight through them. You fight off like just, it's so fun to fight off hordes of enemies in this game in a way that you wouldn't expect from like the controls.
Yeah, I struggled with the controls hard on GameCube, so I played more of this on Wii, but it was very intimidating.
They throw a lot at you, like especially like that first like big village area with the chainsaw dude. Like they get you into it. Like some of the hardest parts in the game are the beginning, where you just have the pistol and you're like, holy crap, where do I go?
That guy just kind of comes at you and just chops your head off and you're dead.
Yeah.
It's like that was it. Thanks for playing.
Yeah. It's so fantastic. Like they're willing to just throw you in that, and like as you get further and further into the game, it just becomes like a ridiculous action game. Like you have machine guns and sniper rifles, shotguns, and you're fighting like hordes of enemies. There will be like armored knights, and you fight a giant fish. You fight just these like weird flying bug things. There's invisible monsters. So I will say I haven't done the 4th area yet. Very shameful, but I will soon. But I love what I have played. Have you guys both in a CMM? How far did you actually get?
Not very far. Still in the village. I remember going into a house at some point and some dude attacks you and then you jump out the window.
It's like 5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, it's like very early on. I forget. I got past that to a point, but I just don't remember specifically. That game scared me to play.
Yeah, this is one of those games that I watched my friends play it at their houses, but I never owned it. Even though it's literally been re-released on every console since, so I have no excuse. Give
it a try on one of those systems. I think with the new versions, they default to a modern control scheme that I think feels terrible. So I actually tried the 360 version, and I was like, why does this game feel so bad? Like, I was like, I remember the GameCube version feeling really good. Like, why does this feel terrible? And it's because they make the right stick for aiming, when in the original one, you just use the left stick for moving and aiming. And it just feels better with how the game is set up, weirdly.
Yeah.
It's not designed for the modern
It's
FPS
not designed
control.
for the right stick. It doesn't make sense to switch sticks because you're either moving or aiming. So it's better to just keep them on the one area.
Yeah, I know some people said too, like playing the Wii version is just inherently easier just because you have much more control over like where you're shooting.
Yeah, which I mean, it's still like extremely fun, and like I'm playing the VR version right now, which is also like easier because of easier aiming, but it's still like it's just such a well designed game that it works basically no matter what.
I own Resident Evil 4 on Wii, but on GameCube all I own is the Resident Evil 4 demo disc.
Oh, that's cool. What did that come with?
I bought it years later. Oh, okay. But I think it was if you pre-ordered.
Why did you buy the Resident Evil 4 demo disc?
Because I love demo discs and demo carts.
They're so
like my
silly.
thing. It's like my thing.
A cool thing about this game too was that it was on 2 discs. It's a massive game. It's very
There's not
big.
many GameCube games that did that. I know Tales of Symphonia was one of the other ones that I remember had 2 discs.
Mm.
Twin Snakes.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 discs is like a neat thing. I forget where the split is. I'm not sure if it's like I'm guessing it's right before the castle, which is the second like main area of the game. But I can't say for sure.
The other GameCube game that I remember offhand having a second disc, the most important example is Ribbit King, because it has the game, and then there's a bonus disc that has like stuff on it that you unlock by playing the main game, I believe.
That's so weird.
Oh, that's interesting.
Frolf is Frog Golf.
Yeah, I've watched videos of that game and it looks hilarious. I think Killer 7 has 2 discs as well.
Yeah, you're right. I believe it does.
I've never played that game. I would like to though. That's like on my GameCube wish list, as well as I have a lot of GameCube games that I have that I would like to play, like Eternal Darkness. I need to beat Chibi Robo. I have Wave Race. I need to play F-Zero more. So yeah, I can only really talk about the ones I've like played at least most of.
I guess on that note, since we're kind of like in wrap up time now, are there any like honorable mentions or like GameCube games that you haven't gotten around to yet or are worth mentioning here?
We didn't touch on any of the Sonic games of Sonic trying to find an identity of what 3D Sonic is like.
Yeah.
And failing every step of figuring out what 3D Sonic is.
Yeah. Except Sonic Adventure DX, because I still have a really soft spot for the original Sonic Adventure.
I played so much of like Sonic Adventure 2's battle modes. I think GameCube was like a perfect like multiplayer system at the time too.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Sonic stuff, like Sonic Gems Collection was my first experience with Sonic CD and Sonic the Fighters and Sonic R.
That was a cool pack. That was the one that was just like 4 games, right?
Well, it was like those 3 were the main ones, and then they had a bunch of Game Gear ones.
Game Gear games, yeah. So you're in our chat. Clay had a game. His backup game was Mario Party 6, and one of my backup games was Mario Party 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I chose because that's the game that came with my console, and I played a lot of the maps and with my family, and the microphone stuff's hilarious, which I mentioned in last week's episode.
Yeah, I like the microphone stuff in 6 as well. Has that
7
game where you have to tell them where to walk. up, left, up. It was like playing Space Channel 5, but with your mouth.
Yeah, the GameCube boards were all pretty good, like 4 through 7 were all they were less punishing than I think the original 3 that you guys were talking about last week.
Yeah.
But they definitely were like very wacky, a lot of cool, interesting concepts.
Some good gimmicks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the items kind of evolved into the capsules.
Oh, yeah, the little orb things. That's
yeah, and then the I know at Mario Party 6 they had like the sun and the daytime nighttime gimmick for boards. I think it like changed every 3 turns. In
one of them, there was like an annoying number of orbs. It'd be like every 5 steps, someone would get an orb. And be like, okay, that's
I think that was 7.
Yeah, it was a little much.
I wasn't super wild about the whole orbs thing.
Because you threw them too, didn't you?
Yeah, you put them on spaces.
Yep, they were kind of like trapped. They could be like, there was like trap orbs. They were. It was a neat idea, but it didn't always work.
There's some people who swear by those for Mario Party.
I'll have to try them again.
I don't. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
One thing from 7 that I remember was I had to look it up, the Decathlon Castle, where not only did you play like 10 mini games in a row, you got like, however, it was pretty much an endless mode for each of these. So however far like of an advantage you got that much added to your score. So like if you were really good at Poke Pummel, you would go way above everyone else in terms of like an overall score.
Right. That makes sense. They were like weighted or something.
And like however far you beat it, like in the endless mode, like would add to your score. I remember playing that with my cousin who would wreck us every time.
I gotta give the honorable shout out to Odama as well. The only pinball game about feudal Japan with voice commands for your army. Tough game, and had a very weird quirk where if you wanted to play like one of the earlier stages, like your game's progress would be reset to that stage.
Oh no.
It was very weird.
That's terrible.
I
looked it up, and the map I really like from Mario Party 7, rewinding for a bit, is called Windmill Hill. That's the one I mentioned last time, where you have to buy the windmills. That's so cool. It's a fun little gimmick map.
Yeah, it was an interesting time for Mario Party and a lot of other series. Sometimes not for better, but sometimes
yeah, they were trying stuff out.
Yeah,
and I would rather them try stuff out in that way than like whatever they did with like 9 and 10.
Yeah, I know people have lots of thoughts.
Yeah, one of the last things I want to mention. Did we mention the Game Boy player last episode?
We did not. I think it's worth a mention.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it plays Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance games. It uses a disc, and I heard that disc is very expensive now.
Yeah, so I found that out.
The Game Boy player itself, like the actual hardware, is like cheap. You can get it for like, at least last I saw it was like $15-$20 at the most. But the disc is like it's like approaching 100 or over 100
my
probably.
God.
And it's funny because that disc in the West came in a case that was like the Japanese GameCube game cases.
Oh,
that's why it's smaller.
The smaller ones.
It's small, so it doesn't fit on my shelf well.
Yeah, that's all I know about is it's frustrating how it's different size.
and it's funny because they didn't, instead of giving it like artwork, they just gave it a slipcover.
Yep. Yeah, so you can't tell what it is.
Yeah, it's very weird. I had good times using the
It's good.
Game Boy
I don't
Player.
think it has like the Super Game Boy borders, right?
No.
Like if you put in like Donkey Kong 94, it's not going to have like the special color mode.
No, I think you can like change them around from a couple built in, but that's it.
Yeah, there's a couple of options. It's not as like gamey or playful as the Super Game Boy. It does have a built-in link port on it, so you can do multiplayer.
That's cool. But it's just if you have the one that matches your system, like I have the black one and the black GameCube, it fits really nicely in there, and it looks very natural.
Did they make other colors?
I'm not sure.
I think maybe Japan had a few colors. Okay. I just remember black in the US because I had a purple GameCube.
Yeah, I had the traditional purple.
Yeah, so my black GameCube, but it came with Mario Party 7, looks great with the black Game Boy player.
My Game Boy player kind of looks like a turd on my purple GameCube.
Another game that was multi-platform, but I played a lot on GameCube was Time Splitters 2, like the spiritual successor to like GoldenEye, and a lot of fun with multiplayer and single player on that game.
And it had a map editor too.
Yeah,
very in depth.
I could talk about GameCube games all day.
Yeah, we could kind of go on about this forever. So I think it's good to wrap it up here. We promised a second GameCube anniversary episode. We wanted to get it out there in time for the GameCube's anniversary, or at least around the time of the GameCube's anniversary.
It's the 20th, right?
It is the 20th anniversary. It'll be on November 18th. Today is November 15th. So definitely pull out the GameCube or pull out your Wii and pop a GameCube game in and give it a go. If you haven't played in a while, there's plenty out there, and we mostly talked about first party stuff, but there's plenty of third party. A
lot of great stuff. And if you need recommendations, you can ask about it on the Discord, or
you could
try any game mentioned on this podcast.
We didn't even mention it, but if you ask on the Discord, we'll all tell you F-Zero GX.
Yeah, I couldn't choose that just because I haven't played a ton of it.
I'm awful at it, so there's that. So that's it for our GameCube episode. Again, you can check us out on YouTube, or you can check us out on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, all this other stuff. You're listening to us on one of these, so that's cool.
Or on YouTube.
If you enjoy, please consider following. Let us know what you want to hear, what you think. We also have a community blog that occasionally gets updated. That's at nintendopipeline.wordpress.com. And we do have a thread over on Family Boards, which has our past episode history. So if there's anything that you want to check out that maybe you missed, you can catch it there. And on that note, just want to thank Jonathan for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, thank you for being with us. Thank you guys for being here. Until next time, we'll see you next week. So, bye-bye.